First on our program this afternoon will be Hal Arve, Rob Keck, the president of the National Wild Turkey Federation, Mark Robson, the regional director of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, will make some remarks on behalf of this organization, and then Richard G. Ring, the superintendent of Everglades National Park, will conclude with remarks on behalf of the National Park Service. Before we move over to the, following the remarks, before we move over to the release site, Larry Perrin, a turkey biologist with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, will provide some guidance and instructions as we move over to be around the turkeys. There are some special instructions that we will need to follow this afternoon. And therefore, it's now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Hal Arve, who would like to make some remarks.
It's great to see this. Can you hear me? It's great to see this large crowd turning out for this monumental day in history here. For those of you that don't know, there are no Osceola turkeys in the boundaries of the Everglades National Park. There have been one other previous attempt, as far as I know, to release birds. And what's monumental about this day is we have the Everglades National Park, we have the Florida Fish and Game, and we have the National Wild Turkey Federation working together in unison to put this together. And of course, as you may realize, with all these different agencies involved, it would not have been possible without a lot of hard work. We're very fortunate to have in our club Dr. George Dalrymple. He's really been the glue that has brought these agencies together and got past all the little bumps in the road that we had to do to get to this day. And I'm just really excited that we're going to be reintroducing the Osceola turkey back in Everglades National Park. I can't wait for the day that I hear that the campers are complaining that in the spring they're being waken up at daylight by the gobbling of turkeys. I'm looking forward to those complaints, and looking forward to my grandchildren coming here knowing that this group here had a small part in getting turkeys reintroduced. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you the president of the National Wild Turkey Federation, Rob Keck.
May the call of the wild turkey, the hoot of the barred owl, the whistle of a wood duck, and a host of other game and non-game species echo throughout these great lands forever and a day. Wow, this is history, conservation history, and you're here and part of it. And I'm thrilled to be here at something that is really near and dear to me, as I know it is to so many of you. It's a day that so many of us we'll be able to look back on, as Harv mentioned, with our children or our grandchildren, to see the return of this great wild turkey into an area that he once inhabited. And this story has been repeated many, many times all over the United States, in fact, throughout North America. The wild turkey now is found in 49 of the 50 states. It's found in virtually every Canadian province that borders the U.S. It's found south in Mexico, and that gobble is something really, really special to a turkey hunter. And I bring up the word hunter, even though these birds will not be hunted. It's been hunters that have been the conservation heroes of this country. They've been the ones that have really paved the way for wildlife restoration, game and non-game species. And it's been the work of the Florida Game and Freshwater Fish Commission here in the state of Florida that worked so diligently to put those dollars to good use, to restore Osceola turkeys back to their native habitat back when the numbers were very low during the 40s, to today have a population when you look at over 100,000 birds in this great state. It didn't happen by accident. And people really from all walks of life have been a big part of this. The excise tax and arms and ammunition, they've helped fund it. Hunting license dollars have helped fund it. And it's the partnership that we see here today with the Park Service, with the Florida Game Freshwater Fish Commission, and the volunteers and members of the National Wild Turkey Federation and its chapters that made this possible. It's a thrill for me to be part of such an event. It may seem insignificant due to the small number of turkeys, but I can assure you it won't take long for Mother Nature to do her thing. We've started out in so many places around this great land with really a smaller sample than what we have to release here today. And in a few years, turkeys found in great numbers throughout its range. This is something that we're going to have to work, though, to continue to preserve. After the release of these birds, we've got to do everything we can to maximize the habitat opportunities out there. We need to protect them in every way that we can. And you know, there are some of those that have helped pave the way for conservation that aren't maybe as supportive of this event as what maybe you and I are. But I think that we have to look at this. In fact, I remember back in my early days in working with the Wild Turkey Federation, it was the director of the Vermont Game and Fish Commission. He told me this. He said, you know, if we release some birds in an area that's a preserve, it was in a municipal area, he said, even though we can't hunt them, he said, they might provide wild turkey insurance for us because history could repeat itself. That maybe one day again in those areas where, on a management area where we once had turkeys, they could be gone. And we have to go back to this reservoir of wild turkeys to trap and transplant once again. It's a great story. It's a great story about what hunters have done to move conservation to the forefront so that people from all walks of life, from all parts of the world can come and enjoy hearing that gobble that is so special to so many people. And I hope, too, Harv, that we get lots of complaints from those campers out here. But, you know, I don't think they'll complain too loudly. I remember not long ago up in New York at one of our chapter meetings, there was a lady there that came up to me. She was up in years, said she wasn't a hunter, but she said, I really thank all the conservation partners for bringing the turkey back to New York. Said, I can remember just a few years ago when I'd go out to the mailbox in a spring morning and all I'd hear were cardinals and some other songbirds. But she said, every morning I go out to the mailbox now, I'm greeted by the gobble of a wild turkey up on that ridge. Well, that same kind of happening will happen here just as it's happened in 49 states. And it's going to be incumbent upon us to do our part. Our chapters, I know, are looking for your support, and we're going to do everything we can to work with our partners, with the Park Service and Florida Freshwater Game and Fish Commission, to make sure that this gobble will ring forever and a day. So with that, I look forward to this release. And I have to say one thing as a hunter. I've had the great thrill of calling turkeys in, really in all parts of the world, from North America to New Zealand. But there's no greater thrill than taking and releasing one of these birds into the wild. It really gives a sense of putting something back. And I think that that's the spirit of hunters today, to try to put far more back than we ever take away. So let's let them go. Thank you.
My name is Mark Robson. I'm the Regional Director for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. And I'm very proud on behalf of our agency to be a part of this partnership with the National Park Service as well as the Wild Turkey Federation to initiate this reintroduction of turkeys into Everglades National Park. I don't think I can add much to what everyone else has said, but I do want to point out our role has been primarily one of technical assistance and expertise in both the evaluation of this reintroduction and also the assistance with capturing and relocating or transporting the turkeys. And we also need to thank those private landowners who have graciously allowed turkeys on private lands to be captured and released here in Everglades National Park. So this is a much bigger picture than the few of us standing here today. And I think we owe a debt of thanks for all of those who have been involved. And also, I've seen a few kids in the audience, and I hope that the parents, the moms and dads, the grandparents, that they're here, will take the opportunity to have their kids participate in the release of these turkeys. Larry, I think that'll be okay. I hope it is. Because even though turkeys are now a widespread species throughout the United States. Once again, it's not a very common event to see them in the wild. And I think it's something that the kids here would remember for a very, very long time. And I certainly hope that they can participate in opening up some of these boxes and letting birds fly. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the Superintendent of Everglades National Park, Mr. Dick Rink. Dick?
Hello, I'm sorry we had such a lousy day to get out here and do this. I'd like to express my pleasure at having you all here at Everglades National Park. I have to say that a few months ago when my staff walked in and said, Dick, we've got some hunters that want to introduce wild turkey into the park, I was taken a little bit by surprise, and I allowed, as how I like a good sour mash bourbon, but alcohol is prohibited in the park. And they said, no, you don't understand. And we examined the issue and understood that this was not only an appropriate thing to do, it was long overdue. And it looked like conditions were right. 52 years ago, Everglades was established as a place to maintain the uniquely primitive and wild places in the Everglades, and that includes the pineland habitat that we're in right now, which is part of the uplands of the Everglades system. And we're engaged, and we have been engaged, many of you know, in a huge ecosystem restoration effort over the last several years, and we'll be at it for easily another 20 years. And while the attention right now is mostly focused on getting the water right, because water is absolutely foundation of a lot of the different ecosystems and habitats here in South Florida, we can't overlook that a key part of that restoration effort is to recover the natural habitats that we have and we've altered so dramatically here in South Florida. One of those is the uplands. These pine uplands here that you see around you used to stretch all the way to West Palm Beach. And what you see around you here in Everglades National Park is pretty much the remnant of what's left, with the exception of a few very isolated tracts in Dade County and Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. This is the sole remaining intact pineland area here on the east coast of Florida. So it's real important that we try and recover that. We've been working at that for some time. Key to the restoration of that habitat is the reintroduction of some of the species that used to be here. And wild turkey were definitely very much present. They were last seen here in the 1950s. And pretty much because the area had stopped burning and the habitat and the brush was growing up, as well as the hunting pressure that was on around it, we saw them disappear from this area. We tried reintroducing them back in 1971, and conditions weren't right because we didn't have a fire management program in place, and there was still other pressures on the turkey, and they were essentially gone by 1975. We are extraordinarily pleased to be working in cooperation with the Wild Turkey Federation, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. They just changed their name. It's taking us a while to learn. And in a partnership to try and reintroduce these birds, and we are going to monitor them to make sure that they survive and thrive, and they will become the reservoir for the turkey populations elsewhere, should they ever be needed. After Hurricane Andrew, when the remnant pinelands in Dade County were so devastated, the pines here were a reservoir that Dade County was able to draw from to try and replant and reestablish the pines in those remnant areas. So the concept of a reservoir works. It works very well, and it's part of what we're all about. And we're happy to be working in partnership with the Federation and the Conservation Commission to do this. I'd like to recognize one person on my staff. Skip? Where's Skip Snow? Well, wave a hand. Skip is a biologist on park staff and has worked very, very hard over a long period of time on the reintroduction of species here into the pinelands, and specifically was was key on our staff to working on this project for reintroduction. So with that, and Skip, our thanks to you, and thanks to everyone else who worked on this, I'd like to bring Larry Perrin up and have him tell us how we're going to go about releasing these birds. Larry?
Thank you. This has been a very neat project to be involved with. We're real pleased to have taken part in this. Now we're to that the point we've all been here for. We're going to go over to do the release. There's a couple of things I want to go over. I need y'all's assistance on some of this. We've got an awful lot of the media here. One of the first things I want to tell y'all, we want this story to be told. So all the speakers, as well as the other people, myself, and part of my team, and the Turkey Federation, they had a trapping team. These people are all here to answer your questions. So we're going to move from here to do the release. Please give us this opportunity to conduct the release, and then we will be available as long as you need us to conduct the interviews that you would like. But one of the things I want to do is get these birds out now so they have enough time left in the day to find adequate roost sites. It is warm, as you can tell today. These turkeys, we've got them in a refrigerated truck, trying to keep them cool. So we're going to bring them out 3 at a time. We got 12 turkeys that we want to release this afternoon. We're going to bring them out 3 at a time. And we want to have as many people as we can take part in this release. Our initial release, of course, we want to get some of our primary dignitaries, Rob Keck and Mark Robson, the Superintendent Ring. We want to get them involved in one of the initial releases. And after that, if you're a news agency or if you have children, we would like to get you up here to help open these boxes. Now, we're not going to handle the turkeys today because it is so warm, and this is an added stress to them. So we're going to have boxes identical to these that we'll have people up there to assist you in opening up the boxes and letting these turkeys out. So we'll be letting them go 3 at a time. All right, now when we leave here in just a few minutes, we're all going to walk down this road, and there's a refrigerator truck down there. That's the direction we're going to go in. That's where the birds are in. We've got some yellow flagging tape up to keep the folks that are not directly involved in this behind that flagging tape. On the far side of the truck is where we feel is the place that the media and anybody wanting to get pictures from. It's alongside. You can get a good side view. The sun should be basically at your back. That's where we're hoping folks with their video cameras or whatever will go. People that are going to be involved in the actual release of the boxes will be on the near side of the truck, and we have people that will help you get into your proper position, and we want to accommodate as many of y'all as we can. So just bear with us. We're all trying to be flexible on this. One thing, again, I want to point out to the media, these turkeys, they were captured yesterday. Every one of them has a leg band. All of them have wing bands. A few of them have radio transmitters. The capture process we use is a rocket net. It can be kind of a stressful ordeal for the turkeys. So these turkeys have been in these boxes overnight. Some of them may not fly real well when they come out. And I'm going to ask that you not focus on that as part of your story. Hopefully most of them will, but some of them, with this added weight, the loss of some feathers, they're not used to this. And so they're coming out of a dark box, and so they may not do their best flying. So just bear that in mind. Don't focus on that aspect of it. I think we're going to have a real good release. So there's no other comments. Deborah, we are now going to adjourn this section and migrate over, and folks will help set you up there. We're going to be doing releasing 3 at a time. We're going to be time between. If you don't get a shot the first time, we'll try to let y'all reset up or whatever. I don't know if you heard that, but yeah, I got you. We'll be trying to work with y'all so y'all can move and readjust. They don't want all to happen real quick. We'll release right here. They ain't going to fly that way, I can guarantee you. No, they should they'll probably go up and flare right over there. Let me know if I pan around and knock you right inside the evidence. No, if I move on my feet, I can.
sure he did.
Play to the camera. Ready, Larry?
Whenever y'all ready.
Camera looks ready.
Little Rob, if he doesn't come out, pick up the back of the box and get him. That's a close-up.
Right.
That.
The ground and she's gone. And that one's gone.
Hey, do we set them up? Do we cue them or what?
Oh, come on.
She's got enough weight on her. She's not real used to this.
That transmitter's gotta come on.
That's one we don't show.
Yeah.
Take out a catcher and put her back in the box.
Yeah. Switch that radio stuff. She's fine.
Yeah.
You can tell, boy, there ain't nothing wrong with her. She's alert. She's there. That radio transmitter. She'll go like a damn bandit.
A little more time than just.
That one ain't hurt. Heck yeah, look at that one gun go.
Going.
He's done? Cool. He must hit the ground running. He must have hit the ground running.
George, they want you out there. Come on, George. You need another bearded turkey, George. Get over there.
It says there was a third person in there. The third person in that photo.
Come on, George. They want you in this case. Come on, sit.
Okay.
Get in there, George. Are you zooming? Okay.
Levi! Levi!
Teddy.
We're going to turn them on. We're just watching this one.
William. Teddy, go in the front.
Levi. Can't see either one of them face.
Meeting basically ready? Yeah. All right, 1, 2, 3. Release your bird.
Yay! Dude, I got to know. I can't get a chance for after.
Great job, guys.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Go ahead, back over there. Get back in the line. Okay.
I guess so.
Brad. Lewis, they have all the chapter members in here, all the trustees. Carl. George. Hey, Larry. I'm probably doing 3 to get him going faster. We'll have another batch. We're in the flight line.
Landing fast.
You see 1, 2, 3. They're a prop. All right, Hal, if you do first, then you do the right middle. Let it go as soon as they leave? Yeah, just kind of time it. Give them a little bit of chance to reset up.
Yeah.
All right, if we got any of the media that want to get involved in this, don't get a anchor work, not the right word. Because anybody from the media want to get in and get their picture for their news broadcast, let us know and come up.
This guy's been dying.
Yeah, turn around. Alan, get Deb.
Deb, you want to come?
Here.
Larry, you got one more person coming up there.
Where are they?
Deb, right there.
Oh, okay.
Backwards. Trying to get him.
Trying to climb up.
Trying to want to
Got his head down.
You're doing the right thing. She'll come out. You're waiting. She'll come out.
Don't have any reverse gear.
That's it, guys. We really do appreciate all y'all's involvement and showing up here.